So, welcome everybody to another Cyberscope Twitter space where we'll be unlocking the secrets of Web3, this time with Bitcoin Startup Lab. So, Albert, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure having you here today. And it's kind of a follow up for the upcoming hackathon that you guys are organizing.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be working with Cyberscope.
Awesome, awesome. Likewise. So, we're really excited to kind of dive into Bitcoin Startup Lab and your history. But before we do that, let's kind of dive into yours, right? So just give us so before we just kind of get into it, give us a very brief description of Bitcoin Startup Lab, and then we'll kind of talk more a bit about yourself and how you got into this space.
Yeah, thanks, Andreas. Yeah, basically, the Bitcoin Startup Lab, we are a pre-accelerator, meaning that we help people turn their startups into investment-worthy startups, but specifically on Bitcoin. So it's a 3-month program. On our demo day, we invite super early stage pre-seed investors and also some of the top accelerators in the ecosystem to take a look at everyone's projects. And the idea is that after startups go through our program, they could get into one of these accelerators and also get some early investment. So that's in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Awesome, awesome, great to hear. Sounds really interesting. So yeah, just tell us a bit more about yourself. Like, how did you kind of get into the space and what's your role in the company so far?
Right, I'm the CEO and founder of the Bitcoin Startup Lab. I I should listen to my brother who tried to get me into Bitcoin in '09. I thought it was a scam, honestly. Yeah, and then yeah, but then many things happened. I I'm actually very new to Bitcoin. I think I bought my first Bitcoin about 21 months ago, right? The reason why I became a believer in Bitcoin was because I was in Shanghai at the time, and we went under basically house arrest, like the entire city, for 2 months, like mandatory for COVID. And then the president over there, they decided to get rid of all the other political factions, basically making it just one political faction. So effectively, he made himself a dictator um, very quickly over there. So things went sideways for expats. Policies became very unfavorable. So I saw the extreme case of what a centralized system could do and taking away rights from people, and that's when the decentralized and permissionless nature of Bitcoin finally clicked for me, and that and from there we started the first Bitcoin Startup Lab last year, and this is before any Web3 investor wanted to invest in Bitcoin, right? They thought we are crazy to pivot all into Web3 Bitcoin because we had already done 21 cohorts in China. We were already the longest running pre-accelerator in all of China by a long shot, right? So people thought we were crazy to go all on Bitcoin, especially when all the action was on Ethereum. But as everyone knows, Ordinals hit the scene in January, and it triggered the Bitcoin Renaissance. It triggered the Bitcoin Renaissance. We doubled our next cohort, right, and we're looking to double again to 100 teams this time. That shows how fast the Bitcoin ecosystem is growing right now, and as to help spearhead the Bitcoin Renaissance, we created the Bitcoin Olympics hackathon.
Awesome, awesome. So you guys have done a lot of things for just been kind of operating for just over a year, and it is quite impressive that you chose the whole Bitcoin path, especially like you said, because Ethereum had a lot of volume, especially back in the day.
Yep,
Um, and I'm
I
kind of
agree.
interested to know like more about how it's like building on Bitcoin, right? So what are some of like its advantages, and how do you kind of envision its future?
Well, I think you guys, I think Cyberscope, and you definitely have the right idea, right? You guys are placing your bets, and before, like, look, like you said, Ethereum still has most action. If you look at TVL, or if you look at just on-chain activity, then yeah, uh, Ethereum is maybe 100 times more active, right? I think most everyone knows that, but yet, Bitcoin market size is almost double Ethereum, right? Um, and so it's largely untapped. And I would estimate there might be like low hundreds of startups building on Bitcoin right now, whereas everyone knows, there's at least thousands on Ethereum, as a low estimate, right? So the magnitude really cannot be compared in terms of, like, Ethereum still has the developers and all that stuff, but what I think a lot of people don't know is what has happened in the last 9 months of this year. So the first thing that happened was ordinals, and now hindsight being 2020, right? If you build, right, the question was, how is it like building on Bitcoin? Well, it was like dismal last year. It was almost no smart contracts, right? Just only a couple of side chains had smart contracts, and a lot of the smart contract functionality is not as expressive as it is on Ethereum. But fast forward to today, you can basically do everything um, you do on Ethereum, right? There was, you know, one of the last things that people were complaining about on Bitcoin was that even with the ZK rollup, you would have to upgrade the Bitcoin core, or in other words, do a soft fork of Bitcoin to fully activate ZK rollups on Bitcoin. Well, one of our teams just created innovation that solved that problem without the soft fork. Right? They combined the Ordinals protocol on Bitcoin with a ZK rollup. And so now, without the soft fork, you can have all the ZK power on top of Bitcoin. This is going to be a game changer. They just launched on testnet like two days ago, literally. So everyone here is hearing this firsthand. They have a little over 500 users now, and it's climbing rapidly. So in like a couple of months, I think it's gonna hit the news, and it's gonna cause a lot of people who are building on Ethereum. They started on Bitcoin, but they're building on Ethereum because of Ethereum's programmability. But now with the new ZK rollup, a lot of those people are going to come to Bitcoin, right? And then we predict that the center of DeFi is going to shift from Ethereum to Bitcoin within the next 12 months, right? Within the next 12 months. So I think Cyberscope, giving the you guys have a great auditing service, right? You guys will be very, very busy coming up very, very soon.
Yeah, sounds great. I mean, congratulations for that one, guys. And I think as long as we kind of get the same functionality on Bitcoin like we do on ETH, I'm pretty sure like the majority might as well just shift over to Bitcoin, for like many reasons. With most important one that kind of Bitcoin is the leading currency. I mean, so how can you not get involved, right?
Yeah.
So let's just kind of get into the company itself. Like you said, you guys are an accelerator, so essentially you're just kind of helping projects achieve their goals, succeed. So could you briefly explain these strategies slash services that you guys are using, to achieve the desired result, and we'll get to it in more detail further down the road. We're gonna analyze the program itself because I've done my research, I've looked through it, and yeah, I'm ready to chat about it.
Yeah, let's do it. What do you want to talk about? Sorry,
Okay,
like,
so cool, cool, cool. So can you just quickly go through these strategies or kind of services that you guys are using to, achieve the desired results?
oh, you mean for our teams, like beyond the hackathon, for
Oh,
the?
yeah, 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 yeah. I'm just talking mostly, started talking mostly about the company itself, and we'll get to the hackathon in a little bit.
Okay, yeah. So we're talking about Bitcoin Startup Lab, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So, uh, yeah, the program is structured to be a complement to accelerators. So if we take Y Combinator as the let's say the standard for accelerators, we help companies get to that level where they could get into accelerators. So if well, Y Combinator and other accelerators, they usually focus on growth, meaning every week you have to grow your traction numbers. You have to iterate your product closer to product market fit. So you grow your numbers, and at the end there's a round to raise a proper seed round, right? So in order to get into accelerator, a company has to have a co-founding team. Usually for Web3, the magic number is 3 people. In addition to that, the idea that they're building, it has to be big enough to sustain a startup. If we call it the fulcrum, right? If your fulcrum is not big enough to sustain a startup. It might be a business, or it might even be just a hobby. But you could see how an accelerator would definitely want the founding team to be solving a very big pain, like a must-have problem, right? Instead of nice to have problem. Making sure that the market size is big enough. So in market entry point, right? Market entry point is something that we found that is very scientific for a startup. If if you're a founder and you pick the wrong market, you end up having to do a lot of marketing. You have to educate the market, right? You have to convince a lot of customers. But as a startup, we don't have time to really do a lot of marketing. We don't have time to educate the market. We don't have time to wait for them to come around and realize what we're doing. So market entry point must be to a market segment that already gets it. Like you don't have to convince them; they're actually chasing after you to hurry up and build a product, right? And that this is where a lot of startups falter. So we take actually 1/3 of the time of the entire program to teach everyone the science and apply it to their own startup to make sure that they found that customer group that is pulling you into the project. Only then do you really have something that is worth building, and can you build something that matters. So the next step is once you have that we call them angel customers, some people call them early adopters. Once you have that group pulling you into this project or into this problem space, then our program shares the top 12 Bitcoin technologies with you. That way you can quickly download in a week and a half all the top Bitcoin technologies so you can make the best decision on which technology to build with to solve your customer's problem, right? And then we do a quick sprint and get those and get a prototype launched on testnet, right? After that, we do a deep dive into Web3 business modeling. What kind of network effects does cryptography unlock? What's healthy tokenomics? What's Ponzinomics, right? We do a deep dive into tokenomics and incentive mechanisms, all the things that make a Web3 company a Web3 company. And finally, the last two weeks, we do a deep dive into pitching, right? This is to get everyone ready to pitch in front of some of the top accelerators in the Bitcoin space, and a lot of the top accelerators from Web3 space that are now also working with us. For example, Alliance DAO is one of the top accelerators in Ethereum Web3 space, but now they're very smart, right? We tried to invite them before, they wouldn't come, but now they're coming to check out this demo day. So they also see the early indicators that Bitcoin is about to explode, right? And on top of all that, there's this quarter, there's about 80 mentors that came to speak and help our students. And these 80 mentors, about 1/3 of them are investors. All the investors are serial entrepreneurs, and they made their money and they have their own funds now, right? The other mentors are successful entrepreneurs in the Web3 space, and or they've created some protocol. We like I said, we work with over 10 of the protocols and the creators and founders in the Bitcoin space. So hands down, our mentor network in Bitcoin is by far the biggest and the best. And in a nutshell, that's what we do for our students. We supercharge them.
Cool, cool. We kind of speed run this one. I actually did have a couple of questions around it, but you kind of went through everything. To be honest, I'd like to emphasize I'd like to emphasize a bit on the kind of training slash education side of things. So you said that projects need to be up to a certain level, obviously, to kind of succeed and just go through the accelerator and be able to sustain and make use of everything. But you guys kind of train the personnel as well, right?
Train which as well?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like within the program, there's training and education going on, along with mentoring and co-founder matching and all
Oh
these sort of
yeah,
things.
oh yeah, yeah. We there's training programs. It's like going to the gym, right? If you go to our program and you do the exercises, you are gonna become very fit. And if you had that champion gene to begin with, you're gonna become a super champion. It's basically a boot camp. We have only about 50% of the teams make it through to the end. So it's not easy. It's not easy to be a founder, but this is where you'll find out if you're a founder or not. And if you are, we're going to get you in top shape.
Awesome, awesome. So can you just like kind of tell us a few of your most notable projects and a few of the reasons why they got there?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. We have a lot of projects that are first to market on Bitcoin. I mean that's also another really awesome thing about Bitcoin. I think that's also why I think you guys are so smart to start looking into the Bitcoin space because you guys are one of the first like bigger auditing companies to come look into the space. So, for example, we have the first ordinals lending protocol on Bitcoin L1. They're called Liquidium. That's really cool. So finally, you can use your ordinal as collateral, and you get Bitcoin back in return as a loan. And if I'm the borrower, then I either get the ordinal back, right, if you don't return a loan, or I get my Bitcoin back plus more Bitcoin. So finally, people with Bitcoin can earn the Bitcoin yield. So that's one. The other another company that's first to market is mm, Bitcoin has like this mini smart contract um, called discrete long contracts, and we have the first DLC API. It's very difficult to build with. It takes weeks and weeks just to get something up and running. But we have a team that created an API for it. In 20 lines of code, you could launch your Bitcoin L1 lending borrowing protocol, and that's also a game changer. We also have the first company that is building a DEX on Bitcoin L1. Yeah, that's pretty crazy, and it links to sidechains as well. So that's also first to market. And as I mentioned, we also have that team that launched a couple of days ago. This is also first to market, first time ever done. They created the first activated working ZK rollup on Bitcoin through Ordinals protocol on Bitcoin. So it's linked on Bitcoin. It reads and writes from into Bitcoin, and it's a game changer. It's a game changer. I mean, there are many more. We have some super talented teams coming over. I'd like to point out, right, that actually I think our collaboration is going to be very fruitful because most of these teams that I mentioned that did first to market or the fastest running, they're from Ethereum. They used to like people. They used to build on Ethereum. They used to build on Polygon. Um, they and and they're cleaning up. They have a huge advantage coming to Bitcoin. Um, if you're wondering why that is, I can share that with you.
No, I mean we kind of shortly talked about this earlier, but the whole thing just sounds pretty exciting. You guys have some very strong builders on chain, and yeah, it's definitely really exciting for someone like us for sure. Especially if the whole network just gets more traction, and we'll kind of be pioneers in a way on our field as well. So let's just get into the hackathon if you'd like. So I'll just kind of let you go through a short description about it, and then we'll go ahead with some questions.
Yeah, so the hackathon is basically look. As I mentioned, I came to Bitcoin about 2 years ago, and I came to Bitcoin and I noticed that it wasn't the innovative culture that I had heard about through my other friends, right? Of many years ago, the culture on Bitcoin had ossified. There's I don't know how many people know this, but there's a group of people. They're very toxic and they come down on innovators, right? They forgot that Bitcoin is permissionless, right? They forgot that Bitcoin is free, and they, for example, Casey, the inventor of the Ordinals protocol, which triggered the Cambrian explosion and the Bitcoin Renaissance on Bitcoin earlier this year, they came down on him so hard that he stopped going to public events, and he sort of became a recluse for half a year. But this is not an isolated incident. Um, this is just one case out of many cases where toxic maxis will basically stifle innovation on Bitcoin. Basically, they're bullies. They're bullies. So we said, hey, we got to put a stop to this. So our strategy to rekindle and to celebrate and to support innovation in Bitcoin was to create this hackathon. So for the first time ever, we created the first ordinals hackathon ever, and we also invited five different technology tribes on Bitcoin that normally do not work together. And our theory was that, hey, there's going to be open-minded people from each technology tribe, right? And if they're friends who are more ossified or less close-minded, see their more open-minded friends working together with other tribes, then this will also convince them to want to innovate, cross-pollinate ideas, and collaborate to create a more robust Bitcoin ecosystem. So the first time we did the Bitcoin hackathon, we invited five tribes. Everyone loved it. The contestants were raving like, "Thank you so much." It was the first time we saw this kind of variety of technology to choose from in one hackathon. And the prize sponsors back then, cash sponsors back then were 10,000. It was about $10,000, cash in crypto. 5 months later, you guys are participating in the second Bitcoin hackathon, Bitcoin Olympics hackathon. By comparison, we have $110,000 in cash prizes, cash and crypto, and we have 15 different Bitcoin technology tribes working together. So 5 to 15. So it looks like, and we already blew past the previous sign up numbers a couple weeks ago. So there's three times the number of tribes, 10x number of prizes, right, and uh, close to double the number of contestants. So it looks like people are responding to this.
Awesome. So you guys did your first one like 5 months ago, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, we announced it at the end of February. We took 1 month to recruit, and yeah, we it was like basically it was end of March, beginning of April. Yeah, yep.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I mean, you guys are a perfect fit for for organizing something like this. So, and obviously you're good at doing it. So that's why you guys have double the contestants, and double the tribes and everything. So, what are like some of the most challenging parts of your hackathon, or perhaps of the last ones? And is there any advice that you can give, to kind of help out participants?
I think the challenge really is to run a hackathon, um, like as a nonprofit. So what do I mean by that? So most hackathons, they take sponsorship money, and then they take a cutout for their operations, and they take a cutout for marketing, right? We took zero for operations, and we took zero for marketing. So if, like, let's say uh, Bitcoin Technology X is contributing $25,000, that $25,000, 100% undiluted, goes all to the winners, right? It completely goes all to the winners. It didn't even go through our hands, right? Um, and so we do this so to attract and to more builders onto Bitcoin, but we also do this because we know builders, when they're first starting their project off, it's very tough. $10,000, $25,000 extra means a big difference for them, right? So we this is why we do it as a we don't take anything for ourselves, but the pressure it causes for us is that we have to do a lot more marketing. We have to put in a lot more hours, right? And that's why co-marketing is so important, not just at the sponsor level, but it's really important for contestants to invite their friends, to post on Twitter, to make sure there's enough people that come to these hackathons in order to make it worthwhile for everybody to come pitch in again. Like, Cyberscope, you guys are putting up $10,000 for audits, which is very generous. Solar Ventures putting up $50,000, right? Roofstock, ICP, both each $25,000. The list goes on, right? But what do they want? Like, everyone wants to support the Bitcoin ecosystem, but all the sponsors also need to see that there's enough contestants, enough talented contestants coming to participate in hackathon. Otherwise, why should we do it again, right? I mean, it becomes like, if you put in time, you want to see the results, right? You want to see a lot of people attending, a lot of people having a good time, and that way the sponsors want to come back and sponsor again. So I think that is actually the biggest challenge. So that's the answer to your first question, right? The second question you had was any tips for the contestants to do well. Is that correct?
Yep, 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 yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
correct.
so 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 tips for the contestants to do well. Our hackathon, we want this to be more meaningful than any other hackathon run in the Bitcoin space. So traditionally, hackathons are all about the technology, which is super important. You know, the technology is really important, but the reality is that a great technology without a great market or a great user base is nothing, right? So at our hackathon, if you want to do well, you have to make sure that you're building something that matters. Do some customer interviews, do some research before you code, right? Make sure you're building for a hungry, or really like when I say a hungry market, it means that they have a very big pain that the existing solutions are not doing a great job solving. Right. If you do that, you will get maximum points in the hackathon, and you will have a very good chance to win prizes. Right. I think the smallest prize right now is like $1,000 or $2,000. You know, and there's if you break there's over 30 prizes right now with ranging the average is if there's 30 prizes and we have 110 just in cash and crypto prizes, then yeah, the average prize is like 3,000 something dollars, right? Um, so there's a pretty good chance that if you work hard, you're gonna win something there.
Nice, awesome. I mean, I love the approach that you guys are taking, and if you want my opinion, call marketing and word of mouth are kind of the best, means of getting the word out there. Definitely. So, in terms of innovation, right? Because it's really kind of challenging to build something innovative nowadays. We've been through some very innovative years, I'd say. So it's just, yeah, it's hard to just come up with the idea, I guess. So, in terms of judging a project, what would you be looking for um, under the word innovation, for example? I mean, it's kind of a tough question. Not sure if you can, really target it anywhere, but
Oh, don't worry about that. We're very clear about what that means. So innovation by definition is something novel, right? So if you do something lending and borrowing, for example, this is no new concept. So there's a balance there. So you definitely have to pick something that is a proven demand for sure. But innovation means that you look at the best existing solutions for lending, borrowing, and then you have to do something different to make it a lot better, the value a lot more for the users. Or if you take lending and borrowing, you could take a look at what kind of lending and borrowing protocols are on Bitcoin, and then you can do something that's differentiated. For example, if it's lending and borrowing to institutions, then you can do something that's lending and borrowing to users, right? And if you find out, oh, there's already lending and borrowing to this user segment, then you do lending and borrowing to another user segment. As long as you're very clear about how your product is differentiated from the rest of the market, then we would consider that as an innovation.
awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for the tips, and we're very excited for the hackathon, and to see what sort of projects we're gonna audit. Of course, we're always excited for this, and especially like through hackathons because we always see new things and very innovative solutions. So let's kind of close this one up unless you want to add anything else on the hackathon side of things. Let us know with some of your future plans and perhaps some of your strategies for keeping up within the fast-paced environment, right?
Some of the strategies, I think,
Yeah. Just
yeah,
some of the strategies with for keeping up with the market and all the things that are happening.
there's there, so there's just three things is part of the same equation actually. So the first thing is um, if you want to build something innovative, if you want to become an entrepreneur or founder in Bitcoin or any space, the time to get started is immediately. The older one gets, the more difficult it becomes to innovate. Like it's not a coincidence that Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, the Google founders, etc., all of them were in their 20s, right? There's no this, and so one of the saddest things I see is people say, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to go work at this big company for a couple of years, and then I'm going to start up." Right? Well, 2 years later, uh, you have even less of a chance to start up. And by the way, 2 years later, you've already hurt yourself because you've learned a bunch of bad habits at a big company, Okay, because 99.9% of the things that you do for a startup have nothing to do with a big company. So the longer you stay in a big company, the harder it becomes to start up. Yeah, go, you have your hand up. You have a question?
Oh yeah, yeah. I just wanted to ask something.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I do totally agree with you. But on the other hand, you kind of mentioned earlier that if you're not at if you're not at the right stage to just move on with your startup, then it's just, kind of more like a hobby. Well, to actually succeed, don't you need to have the experience and just basically kind of know the job before you really make it yours.
The quick answer is no, right? It's more important to have a raw skill, like the ability to learn things quickly, or the ability to code. Is far more important than industry experience. I say this because did Mark Zuckerberg have any experience with social media? No. Okay. Did 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 Elon Musk have any experience with rockets before he did SpaceX? No. Did he ever work in the automobile industry before he started Tesla? No. Right. And actually, these are just the famous examples. If you look across the board, right, this is like the rule of thumb. So it,
Yeah, you do have like a strong point here. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah. So it's really more about like, hey, it's more about getting started now and developing that and making mistakes early, basically, right? I like the way like this is probably like the best way to do it. Like visualize like when you're starting off, right, before you become successful, visualize yourself on this mountain ridge, right? And then there's a big chasm, there's a big like gorge between you and the opposite ridge, right? And that opposite ridge, if you could get there, that represents success, right? So what is failures? Actually, failures are stepping stones to our success. Meaning that every time we fail, we're gifted with a stone, and we get to throw this into the chasm, right? So the idea is if we fail very quickly, then we get enough stones and we can eventually fill this chasm with enough rocks. So then one day we could just walk across, right? And so that's why to a lot of people it looks like magic when people succeed because these people have failed so many times before, right? And they filled up that chasm, the chasm they have to walk across with a bunch of rocks. So they just walk across. Right, so that's why time is really not on our side. It's about getting started immediately, right? About getting started immediately. The second point on that is like you said, you can't just get started, right? If you don't have a really good idea or a market that's pulling you in, no matter how hard you try, you're not going to get anywhere. And that's why it's really important to join top startup programs like the Bitcoin Startup Lab so you can learn that process scientifically. Because once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. It's like walking. It's like walking, right? Once you learn it, you see ideas 24/7. And you realize that, hey, you know what? I don't have to keep my ideas secret because ideas are so cheap, they're dime a dozen, right? It's more about actually executing and executing the right way. Right, so that's my advice for people starting off. Get started immediately.
Love it, love it. Thanks so much for the advice. No, for real. And for everyone listening, I mean, we're even going to post it on YouTube later. So we're even going to have more listeners that can potentially just benefit from it.
Yeah,
So yeah, like I said, we're super excited for the upcoming hackathon. Just get us filled in with the dates before we just close it up for everyone listening.
yeah. I think. Oh, so the last date is September 30th, which is about 8 days away to submit your application. We're going to do judging the first week of October and announce the winners on October 9th. I think before we close it out, can Andrea, can you share with everyone your $10,000 prize and what that entails?
Oh yeah, 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 for sure. So we'll be giving away $10,000 in audit credits, which essentially kind of splits to $1,000 each. So we're talking about 10 prizes here, and for any of the winning projects that want to get their contracts audited, we're here for it. So yeah, super excited about this one too.
Yeah, we're excited too. I mean, there's so many side chains, and like the first Zcash rollup, it's all going to enable smart contract programmability on Bitcoin. So, um, guys, join the hackathon, build something. Don't worry about the smart contract part. At least part of it is going to be covered by the prizes. It's a really big help, especially if you're just starting off.
Awesome, awesome, and yeah, I mean, we're getting closer to just Bitcoin becoming the new ETH, right? So sounds really spicy.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a new ETH. I would say it's like, look, last point I'd like to make, right? So when Ethereum had only a few hundred apps or dApps running on it, Ethereum price was $30, $40 per ETH. Okay, Bitcoin has a few hundred dApps running on right now, and the price is 26,000. It's not the same thing. And on top of that, the functionality that Ethereum has showed us that we could do on the blockchain, we could do all of that now on Bitcoin. But keep in mind, Bitcoin, the architecture is different from Ethereum. So you could also do the things that you could have done on Bitcoin anyways. So it's going to become a larger, like much, much larger ecosystem, right? And just think about it, guys. If you want to have a alternative banking system, a decentralized one, and do you want it to be settled on Bitcoin or some other chain? I think the answer is very obvious.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on this one. I'm with you on this one, definitely. I like we kind of got it out of the way. My bad as well.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
comparing it to ETH,
Like
but
Cyberscope is going to 10x from this Bitcoin boom, like easily 10x. Yeah, because it's not
awesome,
this is
awesome. No, we're just happy. We're just happy to be the first ones.
yeah.
In a way, to just kind of get into it. So yeah,
This is smart.
looking forward to it.
Great job. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, Albert. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. And yeah, we'll talk again soon for the hackathon.
Wonderful.
Great.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
See you later. Bye, guys. Thank you.